Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the Saturday edition of The Brian Show, show number 14. Last week was a greatest hit, so to speak. I put together some of the stuff I think is the best that I enjoyed doing, and hopefully you enjoyed it too. And didn't get to do a show on this Wednesday. The day got away from me, and sometimes when you are a work-a-day slob like myself, the day can get away from you, and things can just happen to where you cannot break away. But there's some exciting things going on in my life, which I'm not going to be able to tell you about yet, but in due time, I will. But, so what's been going on, everybody? This is the first live show in 2 weeks. Well, there's been a lot going on. We got the impeachment, and then we have the impeachment. Those are the main issues that people have been talking about. The Democrats have put on a very strong and impassioned performance and laid out some very good evidence for abuses of power and some good evidence, convincing evidence, I think, for Donald Trump doing his damnedest to destroy this country, but to no avail. We all know how it's going to turn out. So, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. Well, there's something you can do, but you're going to have to vote them out and work from there. But in the meantime, again, there's nothing that you can do. So that's kind of depressing, but you also have to kind of give yourself over to it and understand that that's the world we live in. We live in. There is nothing really that is going to change the mind of somebody who makes all their money off of the misery of others and tries to tell other people what to do 24 hours a day, despite advocating for personal freedom and autonomy. But that's an issue and a topic for another time. Other than that, again, just regular exciting stuff going on in my life. Again, I won't be able to tell you about it. With The Brian Show, after 14 of these, I don't know how many you've listened to. Hopefully you've listened to a few of them. And if you haven't, welcome. I just talk about whatever I feel like talking about for as long as I feel like talking about it. So sometimes it's an hour. Sometimes it's not quite an hour. Sometimes it's over an hour. It just depends, because I have the freedom to do that on this internet medium. And I'm not beholden to advertisers, not because I wouldn't like to have a account with Casper Mattress and have them kick me a few bucks here and there, but because I don't have the listenership. But that's okay. I'm a little fish in a gigantic ocean, and I understand that. But if you do like it, let me know. brianshowlive at gmail.com. There's a Twitter thing. There's also a live chat during the actual show. Twitter is at The Brian Show 2, number 2, and email is. Let me make sure I know what it is. I have to pull it up every time. thebrianshowlive at gmail.com. I can remember it's I should just write it on the sticky and put it on, tape it to my computer like old people do with their passwords. I'm kind of pissed off at myself though, because I had a little thing planned out for you guys I was going to do. I was excited about it. And I was working on it at work, and of course, I forgot it at work. So, what are you going to do? I'll do it next week. So, don't you worry. Fun stuff happening. I was cleaning out my garage today, and And there's always, you don't realize just how much crap you acquire over the years till you clean out your garage and you go, oh my God, why do I still have this? Why? What am I going to do with it? And can I get rid of it? And most of the time it's, I don't know, and yes. And so that's been kind of my modus operandi today is purging all the stuff in my life. And what else has been going on? Well, I've been thinking a lot about my relationship to alcohol and my relationship to why I drink. And I don't drink every day. I am pretty good about limiting it to Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, and then if I'm on vacation or something, all bets are off. But so it's like pretty much every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and unless I'm sick or I'm somewhere where it's just not feasible, like out to Cracker Barrel with the family on a Saturday night or something like that. But it's one of those things where I don't think I have a problem with it. I don't feel a compulsion to drink, but I also feel like I should on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And I've done some research, went to the University of Google type stuff, and took a few online tests. And I don't score as an alcoholic. I'm not like Homer Simpson where I hide beer and have an inflated sense of self-worth and all that stuff, which is a great episode, by the way. But that's all I've been thinking about. So I think when the time is right, but then also I think, let me finish my thought. When the time is right, I'll probably stop, and it will be a big deal. Just like when the time was right, I quit smoking, and that was it. And I never really went back to it. Or no, not even really. I don't know why I qualified it. I have not gone back to it. Nary a puff in 13 years. But of anything. So if any potential employers are listening, I haven't smoked pot in a long time, and I haven't smoked cigarettes in a long, long time. So, but as far as the alcohol thing goes, I was thinking, am I just being too hard on myself? Because a lot of it's wrapped up in body image too. A lot of it's wrapped up in, if I drink this beer, then I'm going to gain weight, and then I'm not going to like myself, and I'm not going to feel good. And I wake up during the middle of the night, if I drink a lot. And when I say it a lot, I usually cap out at 3 beers. So sometimes more, sometimes less, but that's kind of the average. I've never been a heavy drinker as far as like binge drinking, because I drink, as every white male between the ages of 28 and 50, I drink craft beers. Every educated, white male. There are some other, uneducated or rednecks, as they're called, that drink natural ice. But, I guess if that's all I could afford, that's, I guess, all I would drink, and I probably wouldn't drink. But so I don't, the amount, but so that gets me to the point of, am I being too hard on myself? Am I too puritanical about it? Have my Mayflower roots, such as they are, such as if I have them, if they haven't just been imputed to me by virtue of just living in this time, am I being too hard on myself and saying, well, this is a problem. This isn't a problem. People in all the other cultures, in England, especially France, Italy, they have a much different relationship to alcohol. And so, I've been really probing it and wondering, kind of what the issue is, if there is an issue. And I feel like where there's smoke, there's fire, but I don't quite know what it is. And I'm good at making myself feel bad about just about anything that I enjoy. Even the Brian Show, I think, well, I could be doing something else. Or if I don't do one, I say, oh my God, all the 5 people that listen to this show would be disappointed. But I would also be disappointed with myself. But sometimes I just can't do the show. But I think I've been pretty consistent with it. 14 shows. I think I missed 1 or 2 weeks, and I made them up as it were. So I just need to be nicer to myself, right, Brian? So that's what I've been thinking about. That's kind of a bit what's been and there's other things that have been kind of coursing through my brain that, again, I can't really discuss at this point, but again, like I said, I will. So what else has been going on in your life? Again, you can chat with me here at this at the Brian Show. My wife had me return some stuff to the store the other day, and it was at Ann Taylor. So they don't. If you don't know what Ann Taylor is, they don't sell any men's clothes. So, I just walk in there, and it's almost freeing in a way, because I get to play. I don't have to face was there anything wrong with it? And I rarely do face that unless it's like an independent person, and I usually don't return too much stuff. But since I had nothing to do with the selection of the clothes or the trying on of the clothes, they just asked me, well, was there anything wrong with it? I don't know. Call my wife. And I could also play kind of dumb if well, this has has a different tag on it, because sometimes, or is in a different bag, because sometimes, you get mixed up, put things in a different bag. I don't know. And so that's kind of freeing. But I also, when I do return things, I return things like a person approaches, like an actor in a porno movie. And what I mean by that is, when I know I'm going to return, like let's say I'm returning something to Home Depot. I bought too many light switches. I bought too many paintbrushes or something. And I need to return them. I feel bad about returning stuff, even though, because I feel like they're going to judge me for returning the stuff when they don't care. And, but if you, in porno, a lot of times the person will say, oh, I don't normally do this. This is just like I've never done this before. And I think that's kind of my attitude towards returning things is, oh, I don't normally do this. Like, I'm not a returner. I don't return things. I keep things. If I make a good choice up front that if I buy it, I'm going to use it, and I'm not going to return it and get my money back for it, because I wouldn't need to, because I am a forward-thinking adult and can make my own decisions as to what I will use. I don't normally do that. And all that's going through my head, but nobody cares. They don't care. The Home Depot, they build it into their profit margin, and they build it into they build loss, which they call shrinkage, theft, and then they build returns into their prices. And so the price that you pay is reflective of people stealing. They anticipate people are going to steal a certain amount, and they're going to return a certain amount. And so they still turn a profit every year. So why do I care? And I really don't, but it's just something I was thinking about how I can, like in a porno, they say, I never do this before, when that, they made 4 movies. That lady made 4 movies that day alone, where in each one she said, I never do this before. But the condition of her asshole and the fact that a plane could fly through it leads to a different conclusion and leads you to believe that maybe she has done this before. I do, but on the other hand, I do return things that are unsatisfactory to me because their policy says you can. And I think, well, like Trader Joe's, you can buy something from Trader Joe's, and if you don't like it, you'll just bring it back. And half the time, I don't even have the item. I forget it at home, and then I'm like, hey, and I don't take advantage of it. I mean, I actually have bought it. I'll say, hey, I bought this, this bag of chips or something, and I don't like it. And they'll say, oh, okay, we'll refund you. Ding, ding, ding. They bring somebody up, and Costco's the same way because I go there once a week. I love going to Costco. It's the same thing. They have the same stuff just about every week, and I buy the same stuff every week. But it's just kind of they have it laid out like a maze, which is annoying, but also it's effective. And there's always something interesting there that I look at. I'm like, oh, I didn't know they made that in a giant size. I didn't know you needed. I didn't know table crackers could weigh 7 pounds. Who needs that? Well, I guess because it started as restaurant, supply. Same with Sam's Club. And but anyway, occasionally I'll buy vegetables from there, and within a few days they just go bad or they get soft or something. And so that's when I really feel the most, shame, for lack of a better word, the most trepidation about returning something is because it is something that I think, well, am I being, should I just, accept the fact that fruits and vegetables sometimes are, they go bad. But on the other hand, I'm like, no, that's $8. It's $8 of spinach right there, $5 of spinach, whatever it is. And it should have lasted a little while longer. It wasn't through any fault of mine. So anyway, so that's just kind of what I've been thinking about. I think this would be my catchphrase. That's just what I've been thinking about. I also, I've taken a contrary opinion to texting and driving, where a lot of people, like I try not to text and drive. I usually wait till I get to a stoplight. I don't text while I'm driving. Sometimes I'll look at text that I get, which is a bad habit. And I need to break myself of that habit. But when other people text, as long as they're not behind me, it's a great way. I found that it's easier for me to actually drive in a heavy traffic pattern when people are texting, because they're not paying attention. They're looking at their phones, and they're usually their foot is on the brake. So when the traffic starts going and I need to get over, I don't know, 6 times out of 10, they're looking at their phone, and it gives me a chance to zip right on over. And so, there's something to be said for that. As long as I don't get rear-ended, which, could happen if somebody's looking at their phone or reading the text, get whacked. But, I guess there is a positive side to it. And so you get to kind of cut in and change lanes and do all that. So how's everybody doing tonight? We got a nice, cool, I think weather's pretty good throughout the United States. Not too bad. In Canada, of course. And hello, hola to all my Mexican listeners, the none of you. Watch there be one. That would be great. If you're from Mexico or Canada, let me know. I'll say hello. If it sounds like I'm a little tired, it's because I am. And so I don't know if I'm going to go full hour tonight, but we'll see. We'll see what we do. I just need to take a break. I've been talking so much. So one of the other things I've been thinking about is um, like if you've been listening for a while or you know me personally, you know kind of that I'm a very liberal person, politics wise, and and some of my family members are not, some of my friends are not, or people that I know that I'm friends with on Facebook that I haven't spoken to in a long time, and they post the dumbest stuff. They post the stupidest shit sometimes, and I just roll my eyes at the stupid shit that they post, and I never respond. I don't comment or anything because but it momentarily makes me angry. Like, how can you believe something like that? How can you believe about whatever Barack Obama is a Kenyan or whatever it is, stupid right wing bullshit that they post, or religious bullshit that they post, and Ilhan Omar married her brother, all that bullshit. So, it doesn't affect me in the sense that I think about it after I scroll past it, but on the other hand, I look at it and it makes me angry, and I wonder why I let that take up space in my brain when there are so many other things that could take up space in my brain. I could be thinking about work, or I could be thinking about making some food, or I could be thinking about writing some songs, or I could be thinking about making some food, or thinking about drinking some beers and then making some food, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know why I let it take up what is it? You let some, if you're angry at somebody, they're living in your head rent free, and that's what I'm doing. So, but it's kind of it's definitely something that I think about. I also have a problem with ugly children, and I know that sounds petty. It's not a problem. It's just some of the people that I am friends with on Facebook, they have ugly children, and I feel so bad for them, for their children, because they're ugly. And I think, man, that's rough. That's a rough go of it, because you never, you got to double up on the personality department, which I guess is fine. But it's not so much the fact that they're ugly; it's the fact that the parents sometimes make decisions I wouldn't have made for my children if I had any. And you can tell that some of them are of the, I give them soda out of a baby bottle, and Cheetos are crushed into the back of the minivan type thing. Trashy decisions, what I'm trying to say. And obviously I'm not naming names. I won't name names. I'm not a snitch. But I'm not going to say too much more, because just because. But that's something else. So again, why do I care? Why do I care if somebody's kid is ugly? I mean, what is it? It doesn't affect me. I've never met these kids. I don't know these kids. I don't know what they're probably really nice, charming children, and they run around, and they're nobody really looks the same when they were a kid as they do now. They might look similar, but people can really get real attractive or get real unattractive as you grow up. It's really interesting now, at the age I am, which is 38, that high school was almost 20 years ago. No, it was 20 years ago. I graduated high school 20 years ago. This May be 20 years. And it doesn't feel like it's been 20 years, but it has been 20 years. And when I was a kid, 20 years felt like forever. And now it doesn't feel like that much time has passed. But when you knew people from back then, or in your early 20s, even your mid 20s, and then you see them 10 or 15 years, 20 years later, again on Facebook or in real life, or a combination of the both, which I don't know how that would work, but maybe Instagram is kind of like I don't know what I'm trying to say. Definitely not Snapchat. I'm too old for that. But and then they look like, oh, you look like a middle-aged person now. You look like like the hot guy in high school is bald and pudgy now. It's like, oh, okay. Age is the great equalizer. We all kind of get age out and turn into either we hopefully become better people, but we don't always look the best due to genetics or our own decisions and access to an LA Fitness. But myself included, of course. I'm not saying that I look... Well, I do look a lot different than when I was 18, but I also look a lot different than when I was like 25 or 26. So, which I think were my peak hotness years, and it's all been downhill from there. So I think that's the age is the great equalizer. But getting back to the thing is why do I care so much that somebody's child is ugly? I just don't. But I think about it. If I see them, I'm like, on Facebook, I'm like, oh my God, those poor kids. But it doesn't really matter because those kids are probably the decisions their parents make regarding everything else may affect them. Who they hang out with, if they use drugs, if they smoke in front of their kids. That's one that really gets me. If you smoke cigarettes in front of your kids or pot in front of your kids, like, come on, man. Stinks the whole place up. But or drink in front of your kids, there's lots of things you can do to fuck your kids up. But there's nothing you can do about how ugly they are, how attractive they are, or cute. I won't say children are attractive. I'll say how cute they are at that point. So I don't know. So we're at a half an hour, right? That's not too bad. I really thought I was going to get to about 15 minutes and run out of things to say, and I have run out of things to say, but I'm not done yet. Let us see. I need to do some more StoryCorps. I only have a handful of them, and I enjoyed making them, but I just haven't had a chance to listen to NPR. So I'm not going to play. Hey, stop. My dogs are humping each other. And I can't play anything copyrighted. All right. Man, there's a picture in the New York Times of Sean Hannity, who I think is one of the worst human beings in the United States today. He's just being he's just a right-wing pawn, and he's annoying. And I remember a lot. I know this sounds so. This sounds elitist, and I don't mean it to, but Sean Hannity has the ear of the president, and he has by all accounts, a successful talk show, radio show, and but he doesn't have a college degree. Like, he dropped out of high school. I don't know if he dropped out of high school, but I know he doesn't have a college degree, according to Wikipedia. It says he was a general contractor. Okay, you got that's a certain kind of aptitude. I know I couldn't do it, but obviously he couldn't do it either because he is no longer doing it. And so there's a picture of him throwing footballs at the Conservative Political Action Conference. Pots are moving around. Yeah, this Wikipedia article is just like the worst. It's his greatest hits of how he's the worst person in the world. But anyway, him and Rush Limbaugh, they're entertainers, and somehow they have the ear of the president instead of just being I don't know, relegated to the AM radio dial and just having kooks listen to them. Now they're on Fox News and they got I don't know if Limbaugh is, but he has a very strong fan base because Trump calls into him. But he doesn't have a college degree either. And what I mean by that is they are ill-informed, but they're good at disseminating the information. If I got into an argument with Sean Hannity, he would say, well, what about blah, 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 blah? What about Solyndra? And what about the Burisma and Joe Biden? And all that stuff is bullshit, and I know enough about it to be able to kind of knock it back. But it doesn't matter because he's not going to back down. And he, his whole MO is being confrontational, and which he's an entertainer. He thinks he's a journalist. He's not a journalist. He's an entertainer, but he is ill-informed and somehow and he has a real punchable face too. They both have, Sean Hannity especially. He has the most punchable face I've ever seen in my. Well, besides Eric and who's the other one? Donald Trump Jr. Yeah, those guys have punchable faces. But so does Sean Hannity. Rush Limbaugh just looks sad. He just looks like a sad. He always has. Like he knows he's not attractive. He knows nobody likes him, so he just puts up that wall and he found his niche. And really, he was the first one to make money off of being a right wing shithead. At least in the broader, in the nationwide sense. I'm sure William F. Buckley made plenty of money as an author, and he was a right-wing shithead too, but he was a quote intellectual right-wing shithead, whereas Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity are both anti-intellectuals, and they think that anybody that is not in lockstep with the Republican Party is just out to destroy America, which is really really stupid. So I tried watching the first few minutes of the impeachment defense today, just to be more well-rounded and see what they were talking about. But I had to go somewhere, and so I'm curious to see kind of what I know what their arguments are going to be, that there is no crime, they haven't outlined a crime, and no crime has been committed, and even if they did outline a crime, no crime has been committed, and that they're just mad that they just hate Donald Trump, Democrats, and they just want him out of office. So, yeah, they do hate Donald Trump. Of course, you should. He sucks. They want him out of office? Yes, of course. But aside from all that, if, again, you listen to the evidence, because they weren't allowed to bring in all the evidence, by the way. That was voted down to bring in additional witnesses and subpoenas and extra evidence to bolster their case, which Lindsey Graham said that you should be able to do that. And also he said that, during the Clinton trial, he also said that a high crimes or misdemeanors are don't have to have a criminal corollary. It's just if the president is acting in a way that is detrimental to the United States, which of course Trump is. But they're just going to say it's just a big distraction. And Jay Sekulow is he's a right-wing shithead too, and he has been for a long time. I used to play AM radio roulette, if I was in school or on my way to work around noon, and I'd flip around to Rush Limbaugh and Jay Sekulow on the other channel, and he was just a charlatan, and he was always begging for money. He has his American. It's like the weird right wing. It's called the ACLJ, and it was the right wing Center for American Center for Law and Justice, I think, and there's a big old donate button. Let's see, you can quote get legal help if you feel like you've been wronged because you can't, because they didn't want you to pray and because you weren't quote allowed to pray in school, even though you are allowed to pray in school. It just can't be mandated, which is good for everybody, but you can't be compelled to do it. But so it's a weird right wing ACLU, and it's he's just a piece of shit. So anyway, well, I think I'm retreading what I talked about earlier, but it feels good to talk. It feels good to just kind of get everything out there, and it's a cathartic. And I will say though that I'm probably the only one. This exercise is an exercise almost in narcissism, because there are people that know me, or if you don't know me, that I don't have any specialized training in broadcasting. I'm just doing this from my house, and putting out there my worries and my fears, and hopefully some funny stuff. But it's an exercise in narcissism for me to just talk for however long I feel like talking. And to me, this is basically the Mark Maron show without the interview. And so I always skip to the 15-minute mark or whenever he starts his interview, because there's, I don't care that much about Mark Maron's personal life. So maybe this show is just the first part of WTF, minus the interesting guests and the years of comedy training, and for that I apologize. But I'll keep doing it, and I'm having fun doing it, and it gives me a chance to kind of get all out off of my chest and get it out there. And maybe somebody listens. Maybe if somebody listens and they like it, that's cool. It doesn't cost me anything. It costs me a little bit, but it doesn't really cost much to get this thing out there. And so there's a niche audience for everything, right? There's an audience for Tim Allen's show, Last Man Standing, and there's an audience for Carrot Top, who actually I think is pretty clever. I've seen a couple of his, spots on the Leno show, and I don't hate him like a lot of people do. I heard his WTF interview, and he seemed like a normal dude, and he just found his niche. But people like Gallagher, and people, there are, podcasts that have a point of view that nobody listens to, but they have like 10 hardcore fans, and I listen to a couple of those. So that's always cool. I have faith that there are people that dig what I do, no matter what it is. Not no matter what, but despite me having no real formal training, which I guess really is hypocritical of me, because I just said that Sean Hannity had no training. and he has the ear of the president, which is not really hypocritical. What I'm saying on him is that somebody with that amount of power should have the intellectual firepower behind him, and you learn critical thinking skills in higher education, or you should anyway. And he hasn't, and he doesn't exercise it, but he makes a shitload of money not doing it. Whereas more intellectually honest people and smarter people make a lot less money not doing that. So, or by being intellectually honest, but they don't have a platform. So maybe I guess appealing to the lowest common denominator is the way to do that, or I tend to think of what I do more as, or at least I think so, like in a romantic sense. Just here I am, and then you can find me, and you know where I am, and we'll have fun. But I'm not changing for anybody, and I couldn't anyway. It would be inauthentic. And I've had people over my life tell me, well, if you did it this way, or why are you doing it like this? And I say, thank you for your input. No thanks. And I have a strong enough sense of self where I kind of, I may not always hit the mark creatively, or I might not always hit the mark professionally, but at least I have a good sense of where I want to go, and if I need help getting there, I can ask for help. Does that make sense? I don't know. Bottom line, thanks for listening. I hope everybody has a good rest of your Saturday. I'm going to sign off here a few minutes early because it is time for a shower, and I smell, and I have no more show for you. I have no more show, but I will see you next week, and then we will reconvene. I'll try on Wednesday. I think I should be able to, unless something comes up, but I'll let you know. See ya.